Welcome to the Alumni Podcast. We have a dope guest here today. What's up, Nick? How you doing, bro?
What's up, Jim? What's up, Tyler? How you doing? I'm good.
Doing good.
Chilling. And how you doing, T?
Doing all right. Oh yeah. Me and Jim, I forgot to tell you, Nick. Me and Jim always have like a fun where we're from. Like I'm Tyler from the Congo of Cairo, Jim from Egypt. There's a little thing in the top right, some setting. If you want to change it, you do whatever you want. But we just decided to make that a part of the show, so that's why it's
Oh,
in
okay.
stuff.
All right.
Doing good, Jim.
I
Doing
I
good.
I don't want to get lost, so I'm not gonna touch it.
Bro,
Okay, yeah. You don't want to
Start
rep
he's the
pressing
man
buttons.
known as simply Nick, and that's it. It's just like
Nick.
Prince.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, that's right. That's right. I want to say your parents are from like Lithuania, like something like that. Crazy.
Czechoslovakia originally,
Czechoslovak. Okay.
and that's where I was born. So
There you go.
That's dope.
For sure. First
Okay,
international guest like this.
for sure. T, lead us in, man, and then I'll take over.
Yep. So the real quick first question is just like a 1 to 10 scale of how you would rate your high school experience. 1 would be absolute misery every single day. 10 out of 10 would be, just rainbows every single day. That kind of thing. How would you just overall, real quick, rate your experience? 1 to 10 from Samo.
oh man, I'd probably say 8 out of 10. Looking
Okay.
back at it, I probably if you asked me like 5 years ago, maybe I would have a different answer. But it was a good experience overall. Obviously, we all go through our teenage angst in high school. We all have our different feelings and emotions and whatever we're going through, and things go up and down just like life does. But
Mhm.
I had a pretty good time. I had a good time. Maybe too good of a time sometimes.
Maybe too good. Oh, okay. We'll get into that for sure. Cool.
That might
Okay.
be
Hey, I think that's the second highest rating we've got, so that's pretty
second highest
solid.
rating, second highest rating of all time. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
pretty exciting.
Wow, that's kind of pessimistic from everybody else. Jeez.
Yeah. A little bit. A little bit.
We have to
Oh,
bring more people on that really loved high school.
right. Exactly. If we got Dr. Pedroza on, I'm sure he said 10 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah.
So quick story
Principal.
leading into the long-winded intro. Dr. Pedroza has a dark history after he was our principal. Did you know that?
I did
I
not
did
know
not.
that. What do you mean
There's
by
a
dark?
there's a lawsuit on, and it was for several hundreds of thousands of dollars that like were actually administered, but he was involved. And maybe on the next episode I'll give a full rundown. But
Right.
I read the
Every
article.
episode we should do like small little like tidbits about the legacy of Dr. Pedroza on this show. That'd be hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, but he's no longer a principal anywhere. And he
Probably
kind of got
not.
exiled out, bro. So
Damn.
we were the last group. That being said, Nick, way back in 2010, in June 2010, that's when you graduated high school. For the
Mhm.
youngins back then, people are surprised that we were born in the 1900s because we fucking were. All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna
That
be one of
being
the few in a while. Oh.
We're a
that's
special
true.
breed. We're a special
That's
breed.
true. They actually think that in the 2000s, being born then was makes you old. And I don't
Right.
know. It's weird. But anyways, we graduated in June 2010. Your last name starts with an M. We were probably around the same point in line, waiting, sweating, a hot summer day in Santa Monica.
Mhm.
Lakers playing. Won't get into that because I've gotten into it way too many times. I'm not even a Lakers fan, bro. So here's the thing. They give us a piece of paper. It's not our degree. And you shake Dr. Pedrosa's hand after he sang you a song that you knew pretty much nothing about whatsoever. A few people performed, and you go to grad night. I think you went to grad night, Nick.
Yeah, I was there.
You go to grad night, you pick up your degree, you wake up the next morning, but you really sleep in the morning because I think we were out till like 5 or something in the morning. And you wake up the next day, you're a high school graduate, right?
Mhm.
At that point, all of us diverge. All of us rather are going to colleges out of state or in state, but we're just like not keeping in touch with each other because it's like impossible, right? The whole premise, the whole basis of this podcast is what happened 13 years later. Take us through your journey. Who'd you talk to? Where have you been? And so on and so forth. So I'll just leave the floor to you. And of course, me and T are going to follow up. But
Yeah, yeah. No, feel free to interject. Okay, well, there's a lot. Um, all right, so after high school, I stayed in contact with some people. You guys know Austin Hodges, Joe Ramici, still my two best friends from high school. We're still in touch. We still hang out. We're
Love
in
it.
fantasy leagues together. So, and as well as Chris Anderson. I don't know if you guys remember him.
I do remember him. I
Um,
was cooler with him in middle school than high school, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I remember Chris.
Him and I still hang out. We golf, stuff like that. So he's around. But so yeah, after high school, I kind of so Tyler knows. I don't know, Jim, how much you know about my background, but I played hockey and pretty seriously. Tyler did too. And I sort of had to make a decision on if I wanted to play junior hockey or if I wanted to go straight to college. And I sort of started to take hockey a little less seriously towards the end of high school, and then I decided that it would be better to go to college. And I decided to go to San Jose State after some deliberation and visiting different colleges. I kind of had ruled out playing hockey at all anymore, but San Jose State had the highest ranked college hockey team.
We lose him.
Yeah, we got some technical difficulties. For once, it's not T.
I
So
was
that's
like, did I freeze up? I don't know. I don't know. But I guess
no, you didn't.
what?
You didn't freeze up, but my man Nick is operating off of the Congo Cairo internet.
That's right.
And
We'll
so
give him some time. He might be able to pop in and pop back. Yeah, yeah. But yes, he did go
already
to.
off to that. Already off to that hockey.
I
That's
knew
good.
he
That's
went to San Jose because I played at University of Denver in club hockey, and I played against him. So
sick.
um, definitely remember that. They were good, definitely in terms of California teams. Um, I forget if I think I played when I was in Denver because then I went to San Diego State. Hey, he's back.
Let's
Sorry,
go.
lost
Got
you
him.
guys there. My
Yeah.
bad.
You're good. You're at San Jose.
Well, yeah, I'm at San Jose. I go to San Jose, third largest city in California, but compared to LA, it feels like a ghost town. So when I
Yeah.
get there, I'm like, man, what am I doing here? It's I don't know anybody. It feels like way emptier than
Right.
LA because I'm so used to that hustle and bustle around here and all the traffic and everything. And it's still pretty busy, but it's a pretty big city, but it's just not the same. And I'm questioning all these things, and I thought about going into a fraternity, and I did some rush events, and I realized that none of that was for me. And luckily, after the like first semester, I started to really embrace it, especially being with the team. Tyler,
Hmm.
how it is. You start, getting to know the guys. They take you in. You kind of have your own fraternity in a sense with when
Hmm.
you're in that brotherhood of a hockey team. And just I sort of fell in love with hockey again, and I started to take it a little bit more seriously. And so I go through I go through 5 years of playing hockey. I didn't know about my major. I decided to go with psychology. Shout out to Mr. Toon and AP Psych back in Samo. I had such a good experience with psychology and him and just learning about it, and I enjoyed it. So I decided that that was something that was interesting enough for me to pursue, and so I got my bachelor's in psychology, a minor in business, and it was a great 5 years. I don't know if you guys remember me in high school. I was pretty skinny,
I
probably
remember you, man. Yeah.
155,
Hmm.
and I was a little scrawnier, but I felt like I was strong, or maybe in
Right.
my mind, but so yeah, I just started working out and started taking it seriously because we had a lot of resources at our disposal of just workout facilities, rehab centers, and we could use that freely on the team, which was an advantage. And so I just committed myself every morning, 7 a.m., go for team workout. Sometimes I'd be in there by myself because nobody else
Hmm.
showed up for that morning one. They go for the afternoon, and I was just committed to doing that and my schoolwork. And I had a good time, and I didn't really take it seriously. But then towards the end of my career, or basically when I ended college, we went to the national championship twice. So we had a good team while I was there, and I performed pretty well. Had an All-American nomination, all stuff like that. And at the end of my career, I just didn't know what the next step was, once I graduated. And luckily, I made a highlight video by chance, just for as like a memory to have from
Right.
playing. And I had a buddy of mine who was playing in Australia. He was playing ice hockey in Australia
Mm.
professionally, and he had been back already. He'd been working, and he was like, "Hey, can I send your video to this scout? He just, I think that he'd be interested in seeing what you could do." So he sends the video to the scout. I don't really have any expectations. I'm at that point, I'm working as a personal trainer, which is what
Mhm.
I got my certification while I was in college. So I took the test and
Okay.
got certified, and I was doing that as like a side job. And all of a sudden, I get an email from the scout. He wants to have a conversation with me. He talks to me briefly, says he likes what he sees, all this stuff, and he offers me a professional contract for the Berlin River Drivers. And
Okay.
you hear Berlin and you think, oh, you're going to Germany,
Right.
you're gonna have a
Yeah,
cool
that's what
time. Yeah, well, I ended up in a different kind of Berlin, upstate New Hampshire, Berlin, 30 minutes
Oh,
from the Canadian border. I would say the demographic was of the people there were, half like massholes, as they call
yeah.
them,
Classic.
from Massachusetts and Boston, and then half like French Canadian.
Okay.
And so it was an interesting group of people, very very rowdy and a lot of
Hmm.
partying. And there was a lot of, but it was a small town. It was an old paper mill town that used to have a lot of money, and
Okay.
it was kind of run down at that point. There was, for example, there was no like movie theater. All the bars were half Chinese food restaurants, half sports bars, if you wanted to have a drink. And the only place open 24/7 was the Dunkin' Donuts, which,
Okay.
East Coast.
Mhm.
So yeah, I did that. That was for one season, and that was just really, an experience to just try it out, see how it
Yeah.
was. And I met a lot of interesting guys. Gordie Howe's I think it's his grand nephew or his nephew,
Okay. Cool.
Travis Howe. So I played with guys like that, and so it was a really interesting experience. But you realize it's basically like a single A level. It's the lowest possible professional level you could get into
Sure.
in the United States. Um, so I did that and realized that it was going to be a long road, and I'm probably not going to make it anywhere. But it was a great experience. I got paid $250 a week and we were sleeping on mattresses on the ground
Yep.
in a two-bedroom house with six guys with no furniture.
Yeah.
And and I would walk to practice in the freezing cold, and it would be raining, and it was rarely a sunny day in New Hampshire
Right.
or upstate New Hampshire. So it was a cool experience. And then yeah, and then after that I ended up back in San Jose,
Okay.
because that's where all my former teammates and friends were. And the same guy that had sent my video out was now in tech sales, and he sort of was like he kind of kept me under his wing the whole time I was in
Mhm.
college. And so he was looking out for me a little bit, and I realized, I was like, what do I do now? Do I go back to school? Because naturally, as a psychology degree, I'm like thinking maybe master's, maybe become a therapist,
Mhm.
maybe get my PhD. But I saw this, I saw some of the student loan debt, and I didn't really have that much money on me. And
Right.
I was like, man, I got to go to work. I got to do something. Like I can't survive like this in California, and I don't really want to incur more debt at the moment. So I decided that, you know, I'm going to talk to a recruiter that he recommended to, and this is prime Silicon Valley. Things were still kind of booming, a lot
Mhm.
of startups. And so I got in touch with this recruiter, do a couple interviews, and I get caught by a startup that wanted former athletes. They like former athletes
Okay.
with no sales experience because they wanted to coach you up. And so they took a chance on me, and you get a really nice pay, off the bat. I think they were offering like 70K base
Mhm.
with commission as just a sales development rep. And I was like, oh, this seems easy. Like I'm just making some phone calls, do some emails,
Right.
and you just put on a team of like 20 people, and you're all competing against each other, and you're all trying to beat this quota, and you're all, so yeah, I learned a lot and I stuck around there for about a year, and that was in San Mateo, so just outside of San Francisco. And I was living in San Jose, so I was commuting, which was a little miserable.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, and then after about a year, I decided that it would, that I kind of want to go back home. So I came back to Santa Monica, came back to LA. Excuse me. I actually moved close to the promenade. coming back, I kind of didn't know what everything looked like. They just built the
Mhm.
metro a few years back, and
Yeah.
things were a lot more foot traffic, as you guys know, and like
Right.
homelessness and stuff like that. So it was interesting. I was living off like Sixth and Broadway, but I came back without any job. I quit my that job I was at for a year, but with
Mhm.
a lot of experience and knowledge of tech sales and what to do and how to develop sales. So I just interviewed with a few companies, and I had another connection, another networking connection of a former coworker hooked me up with a coworker at the company I was gonna join,
Mhm.
and they got me an interview, and yeah, I basically explained my sales process and how to develop sales, and they picked me up. They picked me up and then built a team around me. So I started to lead a team of like sales development reps, and it went well. I got everybody going, and we got a lot of big companies for them. And that was a company that was based around student loan repayment assistance. So it was like I'm kind of giving back, helping people out. I have student loans, so I understand.
Mhm.
Getting a benefit like that from companies was cool. So I did that for about almost 2 years at that company, and then I jumped to a remote company that was around mental health.
Mhm.
And in the process of that, while I was at that company, I was working from home in Santa Monica. I ended up moving to Hawaii. Uh, yeah, so I moved to the island of Oahu while I
It's
was
very
remote.
different than New Hampshire. This is like it's like
Oh,
not
much
even
much
close.
nicer.
Yeah.
I
Why?
mean, yeah, I would recommend Hawaii over New Hampshire any day.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I mean Hawaii. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been. I'm sure you maybe have, but it's incredible. It's a
Mhm.
different lifestyle. It's much slower. If you can imagine, I mean, I moved to a place um, that what I would say is a little bit more ghetto. I wasn't living
Mhm.
like some like nice house on the beach. I was living more like central Oahu, just outside of Honolulu, and it was a little bit more run down. And I was probably the only white guy or haole they would call me.
Oh,
And
respect.
so and I didn't have a car, so I was just biking around. People would just look at me. They would stare at me, look at me like, "What is this? What is this Howley doing here?"
Wow.
Biking up and down. But I was just biking to the gym. I'd go to the basketball courts, play with a bunch of like the local guys, stuff
Mhm.
like that. Um, but I did that for about 6 months, and that was pretty fun. I mean, most of my time was spent on the beach. There wasn't much else to do. There's no like, professional sports teams to go to. I'd go to some University of Hawaii football games, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So after 6 months, went back to LA, and at that point, um, that company that I've been working for was called Seven Cups. They kind of folded a little bit. They just totally laid off the entire workforce down to from like 60 people to about 10. That for circumstances around the CEO scanning people, stuff like that. California, they had funding from California. They lost that funding because
Mhm.
of him lying essentially. So it was complicated. And then I realized I was like, do I really I reevaluated what my passion was and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to focus on. And this was around the time just before I went to Hawaii. Tyler and I actually reconnected, and he got
Mhm.
me back into playing hockey because I had not played for a while.
Right.
And he got me back onto a team locally because I kind of lost touch with everybody in LA at that point, and there weren't a lot of people playing in these LA leagues because everybody that I played with when we were younger, moved away or they played pro somewhere or they went to Europe or whatever. So Tyler luckily reached out, and I was able to get back into playing hockey again, just for fun in these adult leagues locally, which I'm really grateful for because I'm still in those, So
In El Segundo, Toyota Sports Center.
in El Segundo, so yeah, in
Fuck
two
yeah.
teams.
Nice.
Not the same team that you got me on, but because I was
Right.
on that team, other teams started to find me and other guys noticed me and they started offering me to move into their teams, and then I got
Okay.
offered to another team. So now I'm yeah in 2 leagues, and I like to think that they like me and they want to keep me around.
Right. Right. Exactly.
But yeah, essentially, yeah, I moved back to LA, reevaluated my passion, and decided, I don't think I want to do tech sales anymore. I kind of felt like it was a dead end for me and like, as a personal journey, and I felt kind of stagnant in my personal growth, just because it became so mundane and so repetitive, just demoing and saying the same things and the same objections, and I just wanted to do something more meaningful for myself. And a big passion of mine has been cars, motorsport,
Okay.
And I essentially grew up in a mechanic shop that my
Mm-hmm.
dad owned in Santa Monica for, I mean, now it's almost 40 years he's had it.
Mm,
And so, I had that background a little bit, nothing technical. I'm not certified or anything like that, but just from experience. And I decided that, I had a conversation with my father, and I decided, I basically just put it out there, like I want to come back and I want to help you with the business. I know he was getting older. He was starting to slow down a little bit. And so, yeah, for the last 5 years or so, even amongst COVID and everything, I have been at the shop and just, I have done everything possible and learned everything possible about cars. I kind of became like a Porsche expert, specifically
okay.
911s, and just, learned everything I can about cars. I worked on cars. I took care of the business. I sort of oversee everything at this like point,
Mm-hmm.
hiring and taxes and accounting and bookkeeping and keeping track of everything that's going on. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And even during COVID, because we were an essential business, we stayed open, so we had to go through all that whole process and everything. And now I'm at that point where, we've done well enough and the business has grown that I've sort of been able to take like a back seat, not a back seat, but just hire more people, not be so hands-on because it
Okay.
was 12-hour days, 6 days a week, constantly something. So I've been doing a lot of working, playing a lot of hockey in my
Right.
free time, golfing and working out, and that's really all I have time for. So
Damn.
my
Okay.
my life's not that interesting. It's been a lot of hard work, but
Yeah.
I find a lot of gratitude in it, and I find a lot of reward in helping people and just having the interactions with people fixing their cars and helping them out, and then and building this business and just the reputation it already had, and then
Mm-hmm.
continuing that, and it feels good, feels good working with your father or like
Sure.
a family member, but it can also be kind of complicated when you're mixing personal stuff and business and things like that. But yeah, it's been sort of my journey, and now I'm here, and I'm in a crossroads because I'm starting to get the business going in a kind of a self-sufficient place, and I
Mm-hmm.
got to figure out how to build up on top of that. So, my next move is a little unknown. I'm looking at,
Mm-hmm.
trying to just diversify the business and see what other things I can do while I have this sort of as the backup, and keeping an eye on this, but also I have some other business ideas and some other options out there that I'm considering. So
Oh
yeah.
man, I love that. That's
Yeah.
insane. I was gonna say, was the New Hampshire hockey, was that the Federal Hockey League or was that something else?
Yeah. No, it was the Federal Hockey
Okay.
League. Now it's called the Federal Professional Hockey League. They changed the
Okay.
name briefly. The organization I played for, the Berlin River Drivers, they were when I was there, it was their inaugural season,
Okay.
and then I think they stuck around for like a season or two after that, and then they folded. So, which is common
Yep.
for that league. There's
I
constantly
bet.
teams popping up, going away.
Well, that's
Um,
like my hot
so
take in the NHL, like or NBA, MLB, any of that. I think they do. I like the European Premier League's like relegation policy. I feel like
yeah,
that would prevent a lot of just like the halfway through the season teams just tanking for draft picks. I think that would be kind of nice actually to have like teams coming in and out of the league like more frequently. That'd be interesting.
I
But
mean that would
damn,
be. I think that would be good for any like minor league or anything like that. I mean,
right.
in the States, when you have
Mhm.
when you have these teams, especially when you have in hockey, there's multiple leagues. It would make it more interesting if you could actually help the net worth of a team and organization by them playing well, and they get to move up to play in the
Right.
higher league and maybe get better players, and then another team has to go down, and but it
Hmm.
makes it interesting for them to have the facilities that they do and get the fans that they have to grow that league. And I feel like they should do a relegation system for the college football, um,
Yeah, that'd be
for
interesting.
for college football conferences and stuff like that, because I think it's kind of a
Right.
mess right now with what they're doing. But
Hmm.
Th-
Yeah, it's not to think
th-
about.
There's a lot to unpack in your story, though. So I want to go back.
Hmm.
My first question, and T, maybe you can answer this too, is what makes hockey so hard to break into, and like what skills actually make a good hockey player in general?
man, oh,
Finances.
that the finances. I mean, just like everything, it's hockey's expensive. I
For sure.
mean, hockey's probably one of the more expensive sports to get into, but there is a lot of nuance in and opportunity that has to be presented. You got to be kind of lucky. You got to have the right opportunity. Maybe somebody doesn't play so well or somebody gets injured. You step up and you perform
Right.
and you show what you can do, and somebody sees you. You get kind of, I mean, I got lucky by just even getting a scout to having a friend send that video. If he never saw the video, I would have never played professionally. So,
Right.
and that's a small, that's a small example. I mean, there's some bigger examples of guys getting their opportunities that maybe would have never got them, and they made it to the NHL or made it into a, higher league. And but with hockey, I mean, especially in California, it's tough. It's tough to break in. When Tyler and I were growing up
Right.
playing, California hockey was not a thing. There were not a lot of scouts out here. There were not a lot of people looking. There were not a lot of camps. Compared to now, they're constantly scouting out here looking for players because the hockey has elevated in California. There's much better
Nice.
players. There's more attention to it, better
Mhm.
coaching out here, more teams. And so it's definitely changed. The landscape has changed, but there's a few guys that made it to the NHL from California,
Mhm.
and but it is tougher because for instance, we can't go to the local park and shoot hoops like somebody
Right.
who's
Right.
playing basketball and
Right.
practice or free throws and practice. We have to pay money to go to a rink that's expensive to run, and so it's expensive for us to pay, and we have to organize it, and we can only go so many times. You can't,
Mhm.
the best. I mean, Tyler, I'm sure you had this at your house. I had a piece of wood, like a wooden plank in my backyard, and I was just shooting pucks at a net that my dad
Right.
put there, and I couldn't really practice my skating or anything like that unless I was on at
Yeah.
practice or at like a lesson or something like that. So it's tough. But hockey, in hockey, you see a lot of variations in the physical attributes of players.
Mhm.
You'll see guys that are big, you see guys that are small, because it takes a certain like aptitude of a player. Like you got to be smart. You have to
Mhm.
anticipate. You have to be thinking very quickly because it's a fast sport. It's a team sport. So you got to work together, but you also got to think fast, and you got to be pretty skilled. You got to be able to skate like you're walking. You're not even thinking about that. And then there's some guys that just have a natural feel and a natural touch with the puck, and
Mhm.
those are some of the really skilled guys that you see, and they can be small. They can be, so there's some smaller guys that I've seen that have made it to the NHL and that have made it to
Right.
higher levels that are amazing hockey players. So it's not so based on athletics like some other sports, and it takes there's a lot of extra things going on, and a lot of processing and reactionary things and anticipation, for you to be a good hockey player, and
There's a
circumstantial essentially.
there's a stat that's like if you're 7 feet or taller, there's a 25% chance you're already in the NBA,
Yeah,
basically. So it's like you can have just like freak
True.
genetics and just end up in the NBA or NFL, basically. But with hockey, like I wouldn't describe the body type as anything like, yeah, like Nick's saying, like anything like that really stands out. Like you really have to be like a jack of all trades. You have to be a good skater, good at, just toughness to take hits and whatever. And then the
yeah,
physicality of it, the skill, hand-eye coordinate. I mean, there's so many things that go into hockey. It's a very
yeah.
unique
I
sport
mean,
for sure.
that the X factor for me is the toughness because
Yeah.
it's not easy, and mentally, not only the coaches are tough. A lot of them are Eastern
Right.
European. They're a little different,
Right.
but the fighting, the hitting, like you got to be able to take damage, and you can't be afraid to just start punching somebody in the face while they're punching you in the face. And
Mhm.
it's pretty scary at first, the first time you do it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you kind of get used to it, and you got to be confident, and sometimes you're going to win and sometimes you're going to lose.
Mhm.
I went skating one time, uh, and I remember that my ankles the next day were fucking like shot.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Like I can
Yeah.
why like how does that like go away or like what the hell?
Well, yeah, I mean, it would over time if you kept skating. You just had to
Yeah.
develop the muscles, and our ankles are probably a little bit like Tyler and his
I
ankles
bet.
are thicker because we've
Right.
worn out that skin on the side from turning side to side. And I've had
Build all the
plenty of
calluses out,
ailments.
the bower
I've lost a
bumps and
few. I've
everything.
lost a few toenails from getting shot by pucks in the foot,
Right.
and stuff like that. And it's yeah, it's not not super fun, not super comfortable all the
What's
time. But
been your most significant hockey injury of all that you've had, I'm sure?
oh man, well, I've never broken a
Okay,
bone, like a major
that's
bone. I
good.
broke my nose when I was 16. I don't know if I
Yeah.
came to school that week, but my nose was blown up. I had stitches here. I was
Okay.
bleeding out of my mouth. I had stitches up here and on my nose, and my nose was just like totally blown up like
Ugh.
this. Yeah. And then I've had an MCL sprain, which was in college. That was brief. And
Yep.
just I've landed on a skate. I have a scar right
Damn.
here from just falling on someone's skate. I have a scar on my wrist. Somebody purposely stepped on my wrist one time.
Fuck. Did
Yeah.
you hear about the
And I
guy
could,
in the UK that died just
oh
like
my
a
I
month
God.
heard
Did you
ago?
about
see the
that. Yeah.
did you see the video?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
It was
dude.
that
That's
was really
horrible.
bad.
That is tragic, dude. That's just bad all around. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think he's convicted of manslaughter or something. I don't know what all happened to I think it's Adam Graves or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane. A couple people have
I
died in hockey, yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah. I mean, there's been some freak accidents, but something like, and I've seen a few throats slit and like faces
Right.
cut from skates, but that was pretty vicious, and it wasn't really a good hockey play, from that
No.
guy that hit him. What he did was I don't know, kind of, it was just too much.
Hmm.
Not meant for the game.
Justifiable.
Definitely didn't
Yeah.
belong there. So, but yeah, unfortunate for that.
Yeah. So at a certain point, you said, hockey is probably not going to work out, and you transition into sales. A lot of people are in sales, but what makes a good? It sounds like you were pretty good. It sounds like you were in a competitive environment that you learned the proper skills. What makes a good salesman? And how do you get past like the initial no's and like apprehensivity of people who are, receiving that cold call from you or email and don't want to give you like that time of day or maybe do. Uh, just take us a little bit through that because I was always curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I learned as an athlete and just playing hockey um, translated pretty well into sales. I mean, you have to be resilient. You have to be okay with people saying no to you because it's going to happen. I think the way I went about it was just to be more relaxed, treat people like humans. You don't want to just start pitching them and making them just some number. You want to have actual conversations, especially in those cold calls. And find for me it was I did a lot of research on the front end. Every time when I was in sales, I would always look into who I'm calling,
Hmm.
who I'm reaching out to, what is their title, even something that they posted on Twitter or on their LinkedIn, something to connect and make whatever, they're talking about, whatever's relevant to them and connect it to our business or whatever company I'm working for. And if it makes sense, I mean, usually it would. And that was really, I think my expertise and what I was really good at was writing personal, like hyper personalized emails. I was getting a lot of meetings through personalized emails, and I would focus on just the decision makers, and I would focus on the CHROs or the CEOs or the CFOs and the CMOs, and I would hit them with like a really hyper personalized email, and I know that they're gonna bump me to whoever is the person they want to look into this, and knowing that they're going to send my email to somebody else, then they're going to take it seriously. So it's going to help the sales cycle and it's going to move it forward. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't always I mean, I'm still not like the most extroverted person. I would consider myself more of an introvert. Even in high school, I never, thought of myself as a good public speaker or somebody, whose vocabulary is that great or anything like that. But you learn really quickly, how to talk to people and how to have these conversations and what's important to them. And you don't want to waste people's time. You want to keep it concise and get moving. If it makes sense, if it doesn't, you really want to make sure it's a good fit. And in the end, it's just you want to be more of a resource for that person and be a little bit more consultative and not so pushy and just, if it makes sense, we'll move forward. You don't want to deal with anybody who doesn't actually want to buy your product because then you're just wasting your time.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
And then, sales carries over through life, I feel like. So
Hmm.
like, you're now in your dad's business, family business. What skills carried over from like those skills in sales into that business?
I would say a lot of those. I mean, phone skills, I'm on the phone all the time with customers. I'm selling jobs to them. So it's a little bit more B2C, I'm going directly to
Yeah.
the customer, I'm not just selling to other businesses. So it's a little different, it's faster. So there's a lot more calls, but it's kind of the same idea. You don't want to waste people's time. You want to explain things, but don't want to make it overcomplicated, especially with cars. People don't know, they don't have as much knowledge. So once you start throwing out the names of things and parts that they don't understand and concepts and and systems that they don't understand that's going on in their car, they're going to get lost and they're going to get overwhelmed, and then they're going to, so you give them the bare bones, you kind of break it down, at a level that they can absorb it. And then but it does translate a lot in that sense. And it's, yeah, it's you're a little bit more patient, I guess, with people, so that they can understand.
Mhm.
But that part has helped me a lot. And then just the like interpersonal skills I have with like the employees and dealing with coworkers and managing people and making sure everyone's happy and kind of talking to anybody that is, maybe someone's upset about something, or I'm always dealing with anything like that. And even sometimes customers are not going to be happy if something's going on, and kind of just calming down the situation, easing their concerns, and dealing with their objections. That's a lot of what sales is somebody has a concern, you just you have to tell them exactly, what they're looking to, not what they're looking to hear, but you tell them the truth, but you're telling them in a way that they understand, where they don't have to be worried about. So yeah, but it's a little bit faster moving
Mhm.
here. Just, we're going through a lot of cars, and so there's a lot of different conversations. Um, so it's all faster sales cycles, but I've definitely used a lot of my sales skills
Mhm.
working in business now. This has been kind of like a crash course, like if I should be getting my MBA, but instead I just ran a small business for 5 years, and I figured out a lot about myself, and a
Right.
lot about business, and a lot about how people interact with you in a business setting, and
Mhm.
not only coworkers, but just customers, and the things that they care about and how they want to be spoken to, and stuff like that. So it's been really, really eye-opening and helpful, and it's been a fun experience. It's been a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It's like practical experience is always better than a degree.
Yeah.
I
It-
feel that way too. Yeah, I think
yeah,
having this experience, I've learned more about business than I probably would have from just going back to school and getting an MBA. I mean, not to diss anybody that's done
Right.
an MBA. I think that's
yeah,
great. I think it's fantastic. I would love to continue my education in any way, but um, I definitely, I can translate a lot of what I've learned here into a lot of other different types of businesses. Just learning about taxes and accounting
Right.
absolutely.
and even those like backdoor things, administration, HR, payroll, stuff like that. So, once you've kind of had your hands in everything, you understand everything a little bit more. You can kind of keep an eye out on those things, even when you go into a different business, and you understand like what needs to be done and what the bottom line is.
Mhm.
It's essentially profit. You're
Yeah,
worried about profit and your break even. So you got to make sure you're making money, and it's a business. It's got to make money. You can be as nice as you want, you can give a discount here and there, but you got to make
Right.
sure you don't overextend yourself, and then you catch yourself suffering. So um, it does feel, it's not as stable because it's a small business, so you everything's at stake every day. So you gotta think about every little thing.
it's true.
For other people listening and thinking about going into business, maybe with their siblings or business with their parents at some point, what would you say is a good like understanding of what that process is like, or what conversations maybe should you have before the whole thing starts, or just what are the pros and cons of family business and that kind of thing that you've experienced so far?
Well, I'll start by saying, I mean, everyone's family is a little bit different. My family is different, especially from a lot of the families here, American families, I would say, because my parents are Eastern European, and I grew up in communism, and they have a little bit, their philosophies are a little bit different on how things, how family relationships are, and how you know parents treat their kids, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I would say that, if you're going to get into business with a family member, you want to keep the personal and the business as separate as possible, and you want to have clear, you know, clear lines in the sand of, what's this, like, what's mine, what am I in charge of,
Mhm.
what are you going to do, and when it comes to to just having your own boundaries essentially, where you
Mhm.
know you can work within that, and there's things you don't overstep into, and you don't, you don't want to get too dramatic or get too personal. And the thing is, it's really easy to, because if you imagine just work if you were working in business with your dad,
Right.
it's really easy to just fall into that. Oh, this is my dad, I can say this to him, I can do this, but he is essentially my boss, or we're partners, because I am the part
Mhm.
owner. So, but I have to respect him in that business setting and give him his, and he has to respect me. So it's a lot of mutual respect that, what I say has to be valid to him, even though I'm still his son. So he's the authority figure, and from when, my entire life. But
Right.
he's pretty open, and he's learned to we've learned to work together. So it's been really cool.
Nice.
Out of all the places that you lived, and I think I know the answer, which one's the best?
Oh man, that's tough. It it probably would be Hawaii, but because it's a wonderful place.
Mhm.
It's a one of a kind place. The beaches
Mhm.
there are probably the best beaches in the world. It's tough because I do enjoy living in LA though,
Right.
and Santa Monica, even with all the issues that have come up in the last few years.
Mhm.
Um, it's still, I don't know, I have a special place. It has a special place in my heart, just growing up here, and it's sad to sometimes see it change, but I can still see the heart of Santa Monica amongst everything,
Mhm.
and just like Hawaii, I think Santa Monica and LA is one of a kind place also. I mean, the state of California in general is just one of the most beautiful, I mean, states or pieces of land in the whole world that you're not really going to find many places. And the amount of things there are to do here, and the people you meet, and
Mhm.
how diverse and unique everybody is, it's pretty fascinating. So I do enjoy still living here and being around. I mean, I don't know how long I'll stay here.
Mhm.
I might move because it is, as you guys know, it's getting harder to live in LA. It's getting more expensive.
It's true.
I mean, the way the houses have inflated, like prices on houses have inflated. I don't
Right.
even foresee myself buying anything. I mean,
Right.
anything that would be comfortable at least, So
Yeah.
I gotta keep my options open in the future. But LA will always be special to me. So
I would
I
say
did like it here.
you're definitely one of the few. I think we've, yeah, like I said, done around 15 interviews at this point, and I can count on one hand how many people are still in like LA or California, So you're one of the few holding it down. So I respect
That's
that.
crazy. Yeah,
I'm in
that's
Washington
crazy.
State right now. Jim's still in California, but it's pretty rare. A lot of people from San Diego have just kind of branched out. A lot of
Yeah.
Texas, a lot of back east, like Ohio. So yeah, a lot of different stuff. But no, that's cool. That's cool that you had that kind of like, I'm just kind of getting this theme of like you have this idea and you pursue it, right? Whether that's moving across the country to go pursue professional hockey, or that's I'm gonna go to Hawaii for whatever 6 months, right?
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you attribute that, like, I don't know even what personality quality, boldness maybe, like what do you attribute that to, or how did you learn that essentially throughout your life?
Oh man, it's tough for me because I actually am I I don't like that much change, and
Okay.
so but for me, what I realized, I think early on in college, was pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and doing things, maybe bold things, and just trying something new and taking a risk is
Right.
really important in development, for yourself. You learn a lot about yourself in those situations when you're by yourself, and
Mhm.
you go somewhere new and you don't know anybody, and you don't know anything around you, and you learn how to adapt, and you learn how to deal with it, and then you get more and more comfortable with it. So I would say I don't know if it's I think I kind of just fell into it, and I just see the opportunities present themselves, and it's like, why not? Yeah,
Mhm.
because what I've realized is,
Right.
I mean, it's been 13 years since we graduated.
Right.
Um, time is escaping constantly, and there's only
Mhm.
so much time, and there's only so much time where we're, younger and able-bodied and able to do these things, and you gotta take that risk and enjoy, enjoy what life has to offer for you. And so being, I would be ashamed. It would be a shame if I got stuck in LA the whole time. I
Right.
mean, I didn't even go that far. I went to San Jose for school, and that was
Sure.
already a big step for me at that moment. But was what I needed. I needed to get out of LA to
Right.
sort of learn that it's okay to be by yourself, and I can attribute college and going to a university, that I think that helps a lot of younger people, and probably help all of us a little bit in obtaining some independence, and learning how to be on our own.
Did San Jose have a study abroad program at all that you
They did, they
oh,
did, but I unfortunately never got to try. I wanted to, but
mhm.
the hockey, we were playing so much hockey. We barely had any time, so I couldn't even
Yeah,
take a semester abroad unless I was ready to decommit for like a whole semester
right.
for summer abroad. But I was recently in Prague
Okay,
this
cool.
past summer, so I get to go back to Czech and visit my family, and I
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
got to see my sister get married in a castle in our hometown where we were born, and see
Nice.
all my cousins and stuff like that, and aunts, and so it was cool.
When I played juniors in Idaho, we had two Czech guys. One's Tomas and one was Evo. And I looked on
Hmm.
Facebook like 2 or 3 years after I played in Idaho, and Evo was like a legit professional MMA fighter. Like I think he was
Oh
in
wow.
Europe for a long time fighting. Like he was a big scrapper when we played hockey, but like
Hmm.
this dude just like tats everywhere, shaved head. Like he's a
Dang.
total
Okay.
monster now, dude. It's insane. It's
That's
so
funny,
funny.
man.
Like checking in with old like classmates or teammates, you have no idea kind of where they're at. So
Damn.
That's wild.
respect. What were you
Yeah,
gonna
I'm not
say, Jim?
surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Not surprised whatsoever, especially the guys that are scrapping. That just makes a lot
Right.
of sense.
It
So Nick,
does.
if I can give you the next 10 years and you just have your way with whatever you actually want to do, what would those next 10 years look like?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Mhm.
Next 10 years. I mean, I think, the next steps for me are to get married, to start a family. That's definitely a priority for me. Uh, because I don't want to be, I don't want to be too old once I start doing that. I want to be kind of a younger dad and younger
Okay.
father, and be able to do things with my kids. So that would be nice. Kids are expensive, so I do have to consider that, and that's
Mhm.
that's why I've thought about leaving LA. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of options on the table, but ideally, I think what I would want to be doing is I want to try to establish or build out more businesses,
Okay.
like in different verticals, try out different things, investment stuff like that, and you know build things, essentially. I think building a business would be really cool, because this has already been here, this
Mhm.
shop, and running it, I've learned a lot, but it would be nice to kind of start my own thing, and do it my own way, and start from the bottom, and figure that out. What that might be, I do have a few ideas. I don't know exactly, but I think that would be the route I'm looking for. Hopefully, if it would be to do something with like cars or motorsports, I think it would be great. But it could be even real estate or anything like that. Like I've thought about a lot of things, and
I was gonna say,
and
which one of
you
those
know,
ideas scares you the most of all those options? That's the one
oh
you
man.
do.
Well, I mean, cars are always going to be around. I don't know what the future of cars
Yeah.
is essentially going to be. Internal combustion engines are, especially in Santa Monica, are whittling away, and everyone's going electric.
You
But
get kind of
I'm
the
not.
side eye from people in Santa Monica if you drive around with the truck. People are judging you pretty hard now.
Oh, probably. I mean, I see so many Teslas, and I'm like, oh my
Right.
God. And I'm
Exactly.
I'm still driving around these older Mercedes and older Porsches, and that's
Right.
but that's what I like, and it's not for everybody.
Right.
There's some people. I mean, that's my passion. It's a lot of what I love to talk about and do, and I do that on a daily basis. So, I get the electric car boom,
Mhm.
but I think that there's still some other technologies coming up in cars, like hydrogen combustion engines, synthetic fuels, stuff like that will maintain current internal combustion engine cars, but they're also going to develop some different kinds of engines and stuff like that. So, I think cars scares me. I mean, they scares me because I don't know where it's going, but it is
Right.
it is actually pretty good and stable. You can do that almost anywhere, where people are driving, maybe not, New York or something like that, but
Right.
you can go to, you go to Arizona, you go to Idaho, you can go Florida, and you can start a mechanic business, and it would be
Mhm.
pretty, good off the bat. Real estate is obviously could be volatile. I mean,
Right.
we hit another recession and prices drop, and you're stuck in a bunch of investments and you just lost a lot of money. So,
Right.
or you catch it when it's when it drops and you buy some properties or buy some houses, and you start either selling them or leasing them, whatever it may be, doing like a duplex or an apartment complex, something like that. I think that's really like the easiest way to have passive income, is doing something like that. So it's I would ideally it'd be both, if I could do
Right.
both, and maybe even something else, on top of that, it would be nice. But yeah, it's everything's kind of up in the air at the moment. But ideally, I think for me, it's just I want to be happy, live hopefully somewhat of a comfortable life, be able to spend time with my family and the family that I hopefully continue and put together. I don't want to lose sense of that. I don't want to
Right.
get too stuck into working, because I've worked a lot the last 5 years, and I've realized time is like I said, is escaping. It's constantly moving, and
Yeah.
eventually you're gonna look back and you're like, man, what did I do with all that time? And you don't want to say just worked all the time and didn't do anything and didn't take any
Right.
adventures or trips and spend time with your loved ones. So,
Yeah, for Christmas, I went to Santa Rosa, California, and my
mhm.
niece, or my brother is two, Evie, and so I watched Moana for the first time as a good
For the
uncle,
first, wow.
and so I just want that Hawaiian lifestyle now. I was like, I want to just stop working completely. I just want to live on a beach and just chase waves. Like that's success to me now. After watching
Oh,
that for the
there.
first time, I was like, why am I not doing this? And then you did that, so that's cool.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a good life. I mean,
Right,
I would be completely fine with living on some shack and on a nice beach in Hawaii. No problem. I don't need money. I don't need anything. I don't need
right.
cars. Just give me a nice life with nice people around. But yeah, I mean, that's not a bad goal. If you can move to Hawaii, more power to you. I would
Yeah,
recommend it.
that's awesome. But
It's pretty awesome. Damn. Thanks for catching up with us, Nick. That's dope. We're gonna go into the set segments with Big T over here, some rapid fire questions.
should we
Um,
feed the ducks, Jim?
I'm gonna hit that feeding the ducks, man.
We should feed the ducks real quick. All right, this is
You
the
gotta feed the
legendary
ducks.
track. So that means the lightning round is coming up here, young Nick. All right, so that's six
Um,
questions.
all right.
6 questions to bring you back to the old
I'll lower
days.
this a little bit. Hold up.
Yeah, do what you need to do. Jim's kind of doing the DJ role here, but
That should be. That sounds good.
that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. First lightning round question, Nick. Best off-campus lunch spot in high school.
Oh man, I really love DK's. I love the pastrami sandwiches.
Okay, nice.
I forgot about
We've got
that. You're the first person to mention that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did forget about that too. We got a lot of like L&L Hawaiian and all that stuff,
Mm.
but you're the first. Yeah,
No,
first. to say that.
DK's pastrami sandwich. That was the bomb.
That's fire. Yeah, I remember that.
Question 2: hardest class you took?
Oh man, I'll probably say AP Econ.
Ooh, who taught
Both
that?
both. It was, I think it was Kuda for mine. I don't know if
Oh, was it the football? Yeah, Kuda. I
Yeah, but it
remember
was yeah, macro, micro econ. Those were,
Okay.
for some reason I just did not I did not enjoy that.
So
that would have been an interesting time to take that in like 2008, right? After all the
Yeah, right.
collapse of the world.
That's
Oh
funny.
man. Let's see. Which year of high school would you most like to relive? If you could wake up tomorrow, be a senior or junior, whatever, what would you choose?
Hmm. I think senior year. I think that was the most fun. Yeah, just because we could relax a little bit in that second semester, enjoy,
Yeah.
be a little bit, more mature. But
Yeah, that's
still
very
have
a
some
loose
fun.
definition of
A little
maturity.
more mature,
Yeah,
yeah.
me too.
But
I'm still not
quite
mature.
there.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
I
No,
think we have a high
I'm
school
still
like
working on
class
it.
prank. I forget. I think they like released butterflies in the halls or something. Something
Yeah.
dumb.
No, that wasn't us though. That was the year before us. We
The year
didn't have
before
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
like
think we
the
did anything.
I like the our freshman year prank on that they did with the Viking and the spray
Yep.
paint. That was pretty crazy.
That was
That was a
There
good
were
one.
07 Kings over the VI.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
one of the first people to see that because we had morning practice in wrestling my freshman and sophomore year. So we went out to do our morning run on the track, and you see
Yeah.
that like giant blunt in the Vikings face and like 07 Kings. We're like, What?
I think
Hilarious.
about that almost every time I drive by and I see
Right.
the field and I see the back of the gym. It's so funny to me. But even the story about how they got caught is what adds what
Yeah, they
makes it
like
even
left a
better,
receipt or something.
yeah, in like a trash can nearby, and then the school went to the Home Depot to like
Right.
track them on the camera. And I had a class my freshman year with a girl who got caught, or a girl and a guy who both
Okay.
got caught, and the guy got expelled, so he wasn't in class anymore, and the girl got suspended and she couldn't go to prom or something like that. So
That
Damn,
sucks.
we got to get them on the podcast, Jim. We should interview the
We have to
people
find 'em.
that
It won't
wrote
be
that's a
those
good idea.
7 Kings. We got to get them on the
just
pod.
just
Okay,
relay
that's
the
our life
story and how
goal.
they pulled it off. That's a
You
good
know
one.
what?
Shout out to anyone that knows those people. Yeah, for sure.
We're coming for
Um,
you. We're gonna find you. All right.
We're gonna find you.
This
We'll get
podcast.
your side of the story. I promise. Question 4: best restroom to take a dump on campus.
Man, I would say the bathroom in the history building.
Okay. Yeah, this
it
dumps
was
a
just
lot of
bigger.
people. History building. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I really, honestly, I think I avoided taking a dump at school.
Right.
I could. I was like
I'm
waiting
trying
to
to
go
think
home.
if I ever did. I was too shy or something. I probably didn't.
Yeah.
You know what,
I
man?
just like-
I would have, but the bathrooms were so dirty that I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna shit here. All right.
Yeah, no. And I had independent PE, so I didn't have a sixth period after freshman
Right.
year. So I was always just rushing home before I'd go to hockey practice. So I'd be like, I'm gonna. But I did have an ick with public bathrooms back in that time. But for some reason, just wasn't comfortable.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Campus is so much different now. It's just way upgraded. It's
Oh
so
yeah.
nice. Question 5: who was the hottest teacher at Samo?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't even know.
Nothing comes to mind. Okay.
I honestly there was. I mean,
No lookers.
I'll give it to remember we had a substitute, and it was a guy named Gridley, Mr. Gridley.
Oh,
He was a handsome
okay.
guy. He was always in really good shape. That's coming from like
Respect.
totally like I'm no homo or anything, but
Right.
he was
Full
just
homo.
Give
Just
credit
embrace
to
the
the
homo.
let's go full
It's
homo. Let's go
Full homo.
He was-
Let's just
He
full
was,
send.
he was
Shout out to
he
Mr.
was
Gridley.
he was in good shape. He was a good looking dude. He was like an actor or something. And everybody would always talk about him. So I was like, I'll give it to him. I can't really
Yeah.
recall any female teachers that I was really.
Right.
Dude, we have to find
Yeah.
Mr. Ridley now, dude.
Yeah, we have to track all
You
these people
should.
down. Question 6: what is a song from our high school era that is still in your playlist today? Any throwbacks?
Man. Probably Lollipop by Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Was
Lil
it the
Wayne back in
the
high
Kanye
school
remix.
in middle school era, Wayne was dope.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the
that
Carter 3 in general.
Yeah.
album,
Yeah, that was
I play
fire.
one a lot, so,
The best.
Yeah.
The best. That was the last one. I want to add like a couple for you specifically, just because I don't know if we brought on any of the old homies, Austin Hodges, Joe Ramici. What question do you think we should ask them 13 years later? What would you want to know about them if we brought them on?
Oh man, questions to ask them.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I would so I would ask Joe about. I mean, I would just ask him about his time in New York because I think he has some interesting stuff because he moved to New York for a bit, and the things that he told me, I was like, wow, damn.
Okay.
He was living that like fast New York sales guy lifestyle,
Wow.
So he's got some stuff.
Okay. We'll get
It's legit. It's legit.
Joe's
Yeah.
New York story in future episodes for your podcast list. And then last one will be, what would you advise high schoolers, if there was any high schoolers listening to this now, any just like general tips that they should have maybe going into college or career wise, or what would you say for your average high schooler now to think about?
Oh man, well I would say, I think I would say to probably figure out, to have an idea of what you want to do. I think that is an advantage,
Mhm.
I think, and it's hard at that age, you're not really sure who you are yet, and you do find those things out. But if you have an idea of what you're passionate about and you're passionate about it, then I would say go for that, as early as you can. And that might change, But
Right.
as long as you do it 100% and you do that, you'll learn a lot. I'm sure that person will become an expert in whatever their passion is, and
Mhm.
they'll follow that as maybe an occupation in the future, and that can always change, but they'll at least learn a lot from that process, and then they can apply it to the next thing that they go to. So, yeah.
Respect. That was the lightning round, sir.
All
You
right.
made it through. Jim hit it with
Not
the
too bad.
outro. Yeah, good job.
That was pretty awesome. Have you been back at Samo, by the way?
I drive by it all the time
Yeah,
because
it looks so
it's part of my
different.
test drive route when I make sure the cars are good. I get
Okay.
off on Fourth, so I'm always driving by, but I haven't been inside. But just looking at the outside, I'm like, I don't even know this school.
Easy.
Right.
This is my high school, but it's not. So
Yeah,
It's not.
that's sort of what I tell people.
completely different. They're so fortunate nowadays. Damn.
I know it looks so nice. Just
Right.
everything, the parking. I can't remember. I mean, I don't know. You guys drive to
Yeah, the
school. Remember
parking was garbage when we were there.
Remember parking all the way
I never
down?
drove, but I feel it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
walked
parking
3
down the
miles
street.
in the snow
Yeah.
to get to campus. It made no sense. Like none of it made sense. I was in Santa Monica. I was like, why is it snowing? But like it was because it was 2009. I don't know why. Crazy.
So, outro is we leave you with the floor. You can say anything you want. It's a last message to your high school classmates, or to anyone listening. I'm gonna play "Feeding the Ducks" on real low while you do this,
Okay.
Right.
and it can be any message. It can be any plug if you have anything to plug. It can be missed connection with somebody. Whatever you want to make it, it's up to you. And the floor is yours.
All right. No, I'm gonna keep it simple. I just want to just show my gratitude and appreciation for every single person that we went to high school, especially you two guys and all my friends. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everyone, is accomplishing everything that they're looking at doing, and I hope that they're all healthy and prospering. So I hope that for every single person. And I still get to see some people on Facebook, and it seems like a lot of people are doing really well and
Mhm.
creating families and succeeding in their professions and occupations. So it's really fun to see. And for the people that I don't have on Facebook and I don't get to interact with, I hope they're doing really well. So
That's awesome. Just like that, guys. Thank you, Nick, for coming on. Truthfully, great podcast episode. You're welcome back anytime, obviously. But just like that, that's the Alumni Podcast. See you guys later.
Peace.
all right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right.